Virtualization means creating a virtual version of something, you can say, right? Virtualization means creating a virtual version of something. Like this is my physical laptop. On this laptop I am using GNS3, I am using EVNG packet tracer, right? The question is, what is the need of virtualization? Why we need virtualization? So guys, need can be, let's suppose for an example, today I need Linux operating system for my work. See, I have one laptop, one hardware, this is my PC, right? And on this PC I am using Windows operating system. I have installed, let's say, Windows 10, right? So Windows 10 is working fine, but I have some task that can be only performed in Linux, which is not possible in Windows operating system. So guys, I have to purchase one another hardware, right? Another PC, PC2, and on that PC I will install Linux operating system. But let's suppose I need only Linux operating system for one task for some hour only, 2 to 3 hours. Then also I have to purchase a new hardware, right, to install the Linux operating system. That's why we come up with virtualization, because see, the requirement is there. For us we can manage, right? We can ask for the system to friends, right? Or we can go to cyber cafe, right, for that particular task. But it is not possible for companies. It is not possible for companies. Companies need to run multiple operating system on single physical devices, right? So this is where virtualization comes in picture. With the help of virtualization, we can install multiple operating system on single hardware. Let's suppose this is the PC, and this PC have two cores. This PC have 8 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM and 100 GB, let's say, SSD. 100 GB SSD, right? And this is the requirement, my requirement for the Windows operating system, right? Now for the Linux operating system, let's say I need again 2 cores. I need, let's say, 6 GB of RAM, and I need 50 GB SSD, right? So I need to purchase again one hardware here if there is no virtualization, right? So I will purchase the hardware according to the requirement, and then we'll install the Linux operating system here, Linux. But with the help of virtualization, what we can do, we can purchase a good hardware, a single hardware with good cores, good RAM, good SSD. So let's suppose I have one server here, right, with 128 GB of RAM, 128 GB of RAM with, let's say, 18 cores and 5 TB of SSD, right? But guys, again, on this hardware, if we don't have the virtualization, let's say virtualization feature is not there on this hardware, then we can run up to one operating system only, right? Either I can install Linux, or either I can install Windows, either I can install Apple operating system, Cisco operating system. I can install any one operating system here. But with the help of virtualization, what we can do, we can create multiple operating system here. Don't worry about how, right? Soon we are going to understand that how. So I have one hardware with good RAM, good cores, good SSD, and there I can install multiple operating system. right? So to run 3 operating systems, see, I have only one hardware here with the help of virtualization, and without virtualization we need 3 hardware, right? So if I have 3 hardware, I need 3 power cable, one for each device, right? I need to provide power to each devices. I need a space, right, to keep this server securely somewhere, need ACs there. So managing one device is easier as compared to managing 3 devices, right? And guys, for company, just assume managing 1,000 number of devices, 1,000 number of servers. But guys, with the help of virtualization on the single machine, on a single hardware, I can run multiple operating system. Not only operating system, I can run multiple operating system, multiple OS, multiple application, right? Multiple devices like your routers, switches, firewall. And see, in the virtualization, the benefit of using virtualization is, let's say here I have this hardware, right, with 128 GB of RAM, 18 core and 5 TB SSD, and I am running 3 operating system here, Windows, Linux. And after some time, here for the Windows operating system, I have, let's say, 50 GB of RAM, 3 GB RAM, right? And I'm using 5 cores for an example. And for the Linux operating system, I'm using, let's say, 40 GB of RAM and 10 cores. Done, right? Now after some time, I don't need Linux. I don't need Linux. This is Linux and this is Windows operating system. Windows operating system. So if you are using separate hardware, right, for separate operating system, then we cannot share the resources. We cannot share the resources. But in the virtualization, what we can do, we can share the resources. We can exchange the resources. Now let's say demand requirement for Linux is more, right? The requirement for Windows is less. Now let's suppose I'm going to run one application on the Linux operating system, right, where I need 10 more GB of RAM, 10 more GB of RAM. So I can reduce 10 GB of RAM from Windows operating system, right? And I can add that 10 GB of RAM here for the Linux. We can adjust anything. We can adjust the core, we can adjust the RAM, we can adjust the SSD, means hard drive, hard disk, anything. And if you don't need no Linux operating system, so we can delete this operating system as well, right? And we can assign all the resources to Windows operating system or the Linux operating system. So according to our requirement, we can use the resources, which is not possible without virtualization. Yes or no? Getting my point, guys? Right? So you can say virtualization, we come up with virtualization to make the virtual version of a hardware, right? To create multiple hardware on a single hardware. To create multiple hardware virtually. Like guys, with the help of VLAN, what we are doing? We are creating multiple broadcast domain on a single switch. By default, one switch have one broadcast domain. And with the help of VLAN, we can divide it. We can create multiple broadcast domain. In the same way, what virtualization is doing, with the help of virtualization, we can create multiple hardware on a single hardware. We can divide a hardware into multiple parts. And then we can allocate the resources according to our requirement. Done. Now see the virtual switch. You might have heard lots of time about the virtual switch, virtual router. So let's suppose, guys, I have divided, or you can say on a single hardware, I am running multiple operating system, multiple app. So now how we are going to connect these all operating system together? I will use what? Virtual switch. This is nothing but the switch. Switch is connecting multiple devices together. Here this virtual switch is connecting multiple operating system together or multiple application together. In the same way, to connect to network, what we can use? We can use virtual router. To connect multiple operating system together, we can use virtual switch, right? To secure this application, I can use virtual firewall. And in GNS3 packet tracer, whatever router, switches, firewall you are using, those are, guys, virtual devices, virtual routers, virtual switches. Your VLAN is a part of virtualization only, right? If you will check your CCNP syllabus, in the virtualization section, you will say VLAN, you will see your SVI interface, your router on a stick, VRF, the main concept of virtualization, right? So if you have one powerful server, powerful hardware, with the help of virtualization, you can run multiple machines, and that machine is called, let me write here, if you have a powerful physical server or hardware, then with the help of virtualization, you can create multiple virtual machine called VM. What we call, guys, to virtual machine? VM. VM means virtual machines on a single server, on the server, right? And each acting like, we can say, like it's on an dent device, right? All are completely separated, right? Like you are running multiple operating system on multiple hardware, even though they all are sharing the resources of same hardware, right? So what is virtualization and why virtualization? Is these two terms clear? Like the why can be because of, you can say, cost effective. It is cost effective, definitely, right? Like to run Windows operating system and Linux, we need to purchase two hardware, but with the help of virtualization, I can run both at single hardware. Definitely we are saving the cost. So virtualization is cost effective. Instead of buying a lots of physical devices to run lots of operating system, we can use some or few or a single hardware servers to run many virtual devices, right? Then, guys, scalability, according to our requirement, as I told you, we can adjust the resources. Like for a moment, I need more resources for Windows, right? For a particular application, I can do it. We can adjust the resources according to our requirement. So scalability is there. We can delete the hardware, we can add the hardware according to our requirement. We can create the virtual machine, we can delete the virtual machine, right? So scalability is, networking term. Scalability means according to our requirement, we can increase or decrease the requirement. Like you can say the size, like network size. Let's say my company is going to add some clients. So without lots of effort, if you are able to manage those extra clients, that means your network is scalable, right? Like if some free IP addresses are available in the subnet, ports are available on the switches, or your access point AP have capability to handle more clients. That means we can say network is scalable. Means according to our requirement, we can increase or decrease the size of network. So virtualization is also scalable. According to our requirement, we can adjust the resources, right? If you need any new operating system, you can add it, you can install it. If you don't need it, if you are not using it, you can remove it from the hardware, right? And then we can say it is flexibility, also flexible. Flexibility, because guys, let's say to run 10 operating system, I have 10 servers, right? So it is complicated to change the place, right? Let's say in my data center there are 10,000 servers, and now my company is planning to change the location of data center. It will be complicated to shift all the servers, right? But if we have only few servers and all the application, all the operating systems are running on those servers, it will be easy to shift the location, to change the location, right? So it is flexible also. Flexibility means you can say like virtual devices can be managed, moved, or updated more easily than the physical devices. Yes or no? After that, types of virtualization. Types of, we'll see how we can install multiple operating system on a single hardware. Don't worry about that, right? First understand the guys basic fundamental of virtualization. Like you know the basic fundamental of routing and switching, right? You know the basic fundamental of IP addressing, subnetting, right? Like that, just try to understand the basic fundamental of virtualization, like why we come here, what is the need of it, and what it is, what benefit we are getting, right, by using virtualization. Then types of virtualization. First one is guys server virtualization. What do you mean by server virtualization? Server virtualization means you can say where a physical server hosts multiple virtual operating system or virtual applications. Like I'm using a server to host multiple operating system, to run multiple application. That type of virtualization is known as server virtualization. Like we can run multiple routers on a server, we can run or install multiple switches on a server. So whenever you are installing operating system on the server in virtualization is known as server virtualization, or GNS3, or packet tracer. So what we are doing guys, these are also one operating system only, right? One application, and we are running this application on our laptop. So our laptop is what? Server. So these are comes under server virtualization. These are comes under server virtualization. Like DNS3 allow you to practice routing and switching with virtual routers and switches, virtual Cisco routers and switches, right? So where we are running this application on the server only. Your laptop is nothing but your server only, right? What is the difference between laptop and server, guys? There is no any difference, right? The basic configuration hardware is known as laptop, which is for the personal use, PC, personal computer, right? And hardware with high configuration with lots of RAMs, CPUs, cores, right, memories are known as server. Otherwise both are same. Then guys, second type of virtualization is network virtualization. Network virtualization. Now what is network virtualization? 1 minute, guys. I'm getting call. 1 second. Yes. What do you mean by network virtualization? Guys, dividing a physical server into multiple server logically is known as what? Server virtualization. In the same way, dividing a network, a single network into multiple network virtually is called network virtualization. Example can be your VLAN. Through VLAN, what we are doing? We are dividing a large network into multiple smaller network virtually. So that is known as what? That is known as network virtualization only. Right? So yes, we can. Loopback is also network virtualization. Got it, guys? So example of network virtualization can be my VLAN. So you can say dividing one physical network into multiple virtual networks is known as network virtualization, right? So the technology used to do this task is VLANs, virtual local area network, because each VLAN act as a separated network, right? Its own separated network, and after that we can perform the routing, right, for the communication between two VLAN. So physically the network is single, right? Logically there are multiple network with the help of VLAN, right? Like example can be, you can consider like this. I have one switch, and these are PCs, right? Now guys, virtually what we can do, we can divide it, right? These all PCs belongs to same network, single network, right? Now with the help of VLAN, I can put these ports in different VLAN, VLAN 10, these ports in different VLAN, VLAN 20, right? So we have divided the network logically. This is nothing but the network virtualization. And guys, the last types of virtualization, third one is storage virtualization. Now what do you mean by storage virtualization? What is a storage virtualization? Yeah. 1 TB, no brother, didn't get you, please. Yes, Combining multiple storage devices, you can say. Combining multiple storage devices logically. Like guys, let's say on one hardware, on this hardware there are 3 hard drive, each carry 1 TB. Each carry 1 TB. So logically what we can do, we can combine these all. Logically we can combine these all hardware, and logically what, how many hard drive I will get? 3 TB, right? So this type of virtualization is called storage virtualization. So storage virtualization can be combining multiple storage devices like your hard drive, your SSD, your RAM, right? So let's say I have one server, and on this server by default 16 GB RAM is there, correct? But I need more RAM. I need, let's say, 32 GB RAM, correct? To run one application. There is one app and I need to run this app, and to run this app 32 GB of RAM is required. So you have to purchase, you have to remove this RAM, and then you have to purchase new RAM with 32 GB. But with the help of virtualization, what we can do, 16 GB RAM is already there, I can purchase 16 GB more, and then we can combine it. This is what storage virtualization. Got it? When you will run the SDN network, software defined networking, you will see lots of devices are the virtual, like your routers, your the controllers. These are the virtual, like you might have heard a lot about the vManage, vSmart, vBond. These are the virtual appliance, right? Like CSR 1000. These are the virtual appliance. So where we can run these virtual, like virtual router, let's say virtual router, which is your, as I told you, CSR 1000. CSR 1000 is one virtual appliance. So that's why you will see V here, V for virtual. So where we can deploy this router, then we can deploy this router on guys server, right? And it will perform the same task, same function as physical router. I need to connect these two network together, right? I have to use one router, and then through router I can connect it. This is your physical router, right? For the virtual router, what we can do, we can use a server here, right? This is my server, and on the server I can deploy the router. So that is router in, that is virtual router. Here I can install what, CSR 1000, right? So this is what virtual router. So if someone is asking like what is virtual router, what is the difference between the physical router and the virtual router or virtual switch, there is no any difference. Both work same, exactly same, function is exactly same. Instead of buying the hardware, here we are going to only buy the license, the operating system, and we'll run that on server. On this same server I am running router, right? This operating system, at the same time I can run another operating system as well, right? I can run, I can use one switch as well here, right? I can run Windows operating system as well here. So function is exactly same, but it is in virtual. Got it, guys? So the router we are using in GNS3, right? Those are the physical appliance, right? And we are using it in virtual for the practice. And right now I'm talking about the CSR 100. This is the virtual appliance only, right? And then switch. virtual switch. Whenever you will see V switch, a small V and switch, that means it is talking about the virtual switch. Right. So what is the use of virtual switch? Virtual router is used to connect multiple networks together, and virtual switch is going to connect, or you can say handles traffic between virtual. What within network means? Yeah, between the virtual machines within a network, correct. Just like a physical switch. Handle traffic between physical devices within a network. Right. Now guys, how do you set up the virtual devices? How do you set up the virtual devices? So we have one ESXi server. ESXi server. This is what one operating system, and we need to install this operating system on our hardware. So let's suppose I have purchased one server from the market, right, with the good RAM, good hardware, good hard drive. Here I am going to install what? ESXi. On the bottom I am going to install ESXi. What this ESXi will do? ESXi is also one operating system only, right? If you want to see the ESXi guys, I can show you even, because I have the server CMD. Let me try to ping the server if server is reachable. 192.168.1. I think 10. Yeah, ping is working. Let me show you. I have one ESXi server in my home, 192.168.1.10. Yes. See, VMware ESXi host client. It's asking for the login, root, and the password is 420. Yes, very good. See, so 12 cores are there, right? 64 GB RAM is there, and 2 TB hard drive is there. So I can create here multiple virtual machines. See, there is one option, right, to create the virtual machine. Just click on virtual machine, and see, under virtual machine I have even one device, right, one machine, EVNG. I am running my EVNG on ESXi server only, right? So how I have set up this? I have purchased one server here. On that physical server I have installed ESXi 8.0, which is the latest version of ESXi, right? Definitely you have to purchase the license from VMware. This is the product of VMware. So once you will purchase the license, they will provide you one key. You will install that key, even they will provide you the support, right? Now I am going to configure one IP address to this ESXi operating system. So in my case, IP address is 192.168.1.10. Correct? I have defined the IP address from the same subnet. And now I have connected this server to internet. See, in my home, there is one home router, Wi-Fi router. That router is connected with internet directly, like this. This is Wi-Fi router. Wi-Fi router. And now guys, here is my laptop. My laptop is also connected with this router, Wi-Fi router, wirelessly. Laptop, right? And my laptop have the IP address 192.168.1. My laptop is getting IP from the DHCP. So my IP is 1.2, you can see from the same subnet, right? So my laptop have IP 1.2. So ESXi server and my laptop IP address both belongs to same subnet, right? So that's why I'm able to ping this IP address. And if you are able to ping this IP address, what you can do? You can access your ESXi in your browser. So simply guys, I have opened the browser, and in my browser I have typed the IP address, right? It have authenticated, and then you can see I have access of my server, ESXi server. And here I can create the multiple virtual machine, right? Simply I will click on create virtual machine. Now it is asking for multiple options are there, like create a virtual machine. Just click next. Now you can see enter the name of your virtual machine. Let's say I want to create Windows operating system here, so I will say Windows, right? And guest OS family, here I can select what? Windows, and then guest OS version. So only we need to select the family and version. That's it. Next, 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 we can install the operating system. Within 10 minutes, I can be ready with Windows operating system. Within next 10 minutes, I can be ready with Linux operating system. I can install multiple operating system on single server, single physical server. So ESXi is going to allow you to create multiple servers here, right? So multiple operating system here. So let's suppose I'm going to create multiple operating system. These are the multiple operating system: Windows, Linux, Cisco routers, correct? And then on the operating system, I can install the applications like your Google Meet, Zoom, WhatsApp, right? In the Linux also, I can install now applications like Linux application, like let's say there is one Python application, right? Many applications are there. In the same way on Cisco operating system, I can install multiple application. Now guys, can these virtual machines communicate with each other? No, they will not communicate with each other. So I will create one virtual switch here. I will create one virtual switch, and through virtual switch I can connect these all operating system together. And then we are going to define the IP address to these virtual machines. Either these machines can get IP address from the DHCP, or manually you can configure the IP address. This is how we can create multiple virtual machine on single server. Is it clear? So see, my root, I think my event G is on. Let me check what happened. Yes. See, the application is on, it's running, right? And the IP address, here we can verify the IP address, we can see those things, right? And guys, according to our requirement, you can assign the, you can allocate the resources. Like let's say for this event G, I need 50 GB of RAM. So I can allocate 50 GB of RAM to event G. I can allocate some RAM to Windows operating system. Done. So it have got the IP 192.168.1.4, right? Now to access this application again, right, I can type the IP address in the browser. Let me use another browser here. Somewhere in the networking, you can see. See, this is the virtual switch. One port is connected with, guys, event G, and one port is connected with physical adapter, physical server, correct? V switch 0, V switch 0. Like this, I can create multiple switches here, multiple virtual switches. I can deploy the routers, I can deploy the switches, anything. Got it? Got it, guys? The application IP address is maybe both belongs to same network or different network, right? It can be in same network or it can be in different network. In my scenario, both belongs to same network. IP address of event is 1.4 and the ESXi server IP address is 1.10. Clear? And ESXi uses Linux Ubuntu, right? So event is also using Ubuntu. Even I can access my event in putty, like I can SSH it. So just click on SSH. The IP address of your event is 1.4, I think, right? And then port number of SSH is 22. See, yes. See, I have access of my event. Username is root and the password is see. Yeah, I have access, right? Here I can run ls command. So if you have idea about the Linux, you can use it, right? You can configure the IP addresses, IP. See the IP addresses over here. Here also we can check the IP 192.160.1 dot. This is the broadcast IP. This is the IP address 1.4/24, right? So this depends on your application, right? Like Windows operating system, how many we have to access the Windows operating system on the physical device, right? Same ways are available for the virtual devices as well. Whatever things you can do on the physical Windows machine, you can do on the virtual as well. There is no any difference, guys. 1 second. ESXi. What is ESXi, guys? ESXi is in hypervisor. What it is? It is an hypervisor. So what is hypervisor? What is hypervisor? You can say a tool which allow us to create multiple machines on a single machine, right? Right, virtual machine, VM. Hypervisor allow you to run multiple virtual machines on a single server. You can install virtual routers, virtual switches, virtual firewall, the Windows operating system, Linux operating system, or any other operating system. And you know, virtualization is connected to cloud, internet. There is everything on internet. Let's say you have one requirement to run Windows operating system or to deploy one router. So you don't need to purchase even single server, right? Like till now we discussed what? To run multiple operating system, we can purchase one server, one hardware is required. On one hardware, we can run multiple operating system. Now I am saying even you don't need to purchase one hardware, right? Because there is already lots of cloud providers, means companies who have the setup, who have lots of servers in their data center, right? Like guys, there is one company and whose company's data center is this one, data center. In their data center, they have deployed lots of servers there. Lots of servers are there. The reason, see, even if you are purchasing a single server, right, maintenance is required, guys, right? The space is required, right? Cooling area is required. Engineers are required who will maintain it. So with the help of cloud, see what is cloud. So there is one company, right, who have one data center. In their data center, they have lots of servers with ESXi. On each server, they have installed ESXi. And now they have connected their data center to internet. And this company is offering outside users on internet. You are on internet, right? So if you have internet connectivity, then you can use resources of this company, right? So even now you don't need to purchase the server. Let's say to run Windows operating system, we need hardware, at least one hardware. Now even we don't need that hardware. Guys, with the help of cloud, I can use hardware of other company, the provider, cloud provider, that is known as cloud provider. And whenever we are using server of other companies, that is known as cloud. That is known as what? Cloud. Right? So this company can be your Amazon AWS. This company can be your Microsoft Azure. This company can be your Google Cloud Platform. Many cloud providers are there, right? The most popular one is AWS. Right, guys? So what is the cloud? Cloud means using the resources, hardware resources of other companies. I want to show you something here. According to my requirement, I can use 128 GB RAM, right, or 5 TB hard disks, 120 cores, doesn't matter. And whatever resources I will use, I have to pay to AWS, to Amazon AWS, right? So he is providing what? The resources now, the hardware resources. So this is what, guys, this is cloud computing, right? There are multiple services, right? Like one service is EC2 service. Multiple services are there. In the cloud computing, you are going to learn these services only. See, I can launch the instance here. Right? So the AWS have their data center, lots of data center even there will be there for the Amazon AWS. Because guys, let's suppose if there is only one data center, then what will happen if the data center bill goes down? If you are thinking that how data center can be goes down, yeah, still there is chance, right? Let's suppose there is some like natural disaster, right, like floods or the earthquake. So in those scenario, there is chance that data center can be destroyed. So that's why they have lots of data center at different places. Even the company never reveal the exact location of their data center. You can not knows the exact location of the data center of Amazon. Even if you are employee of AWS, then also you cannot knows the exact location. The locations are hidden, right? Because guys, lots of companies are dependent on their data center, right? So this is similar like your Google Drive. On the drive is also what? One kind of resources, right? Provided by Google, where you can store something. So after the virtualization, these company cloud providers started providing resources to the users on internet. So if you have internet connectivity, you can access the resources through your browser, right? You will only need to type the IP address in your browser. Once you will type the IP address in the browser, let's say your IP address is 1.1.1.1 public IP address, right? Once you will type this IP address in the browser, you will have your service. Right? So cloud means using resources of other company, right? And guys, cloud and virtualization, why both are connected? The reason this is possible just because of virtualization only, right? This is possible just because of virtualization, because see, this company is going to install ESXi here, right? And on this ESXi now you can install any operating system. Without ESXi virtualization on the laptop, we can either install Windows operating system or Linux operating system. I cannot install like the routers, correct? For the router, we have different hardware. For the Windows operating system, we have different hardware. But with the help of ESXi, we can install any operating system on any hardware, right? The requirement is server should be compatible with ESXi. That's it, right? So cloud computing uses virtualization to provide services like, and see the cloud companies provide multiple services like, anyone have idea? IS, infrastructure as a service. So either you can purchase software as a service, you can purchase infrastructure as a service, or you can purchase platform as a service. Right? Now what is the difference between these three terms? See, here it will be easy for me to make you understand with a diagram. Your requirement is you need to run one application, right? So guys, the first option is you can run that application on your own server. So running application on own server is this one, right? Means you have to take care about the hardware, about the networking, about the storage, about the server, about the virtualization like ESXi. You have to pay the subscription. You have to take care about the operating system. You have to take care about the security. You have to take care about the routing, data, application, everything, right? Correct, guys? You have to, if I am running Windows operating system on my laptop, on this laptop, current laptop, right? So guys, I am just charging this laptop. This is my concern, how I am going to provide power, right? I am paying to the Microsoft subscription fee. I am responsible for the application, whatever application I am running over here. If there is some problem, I have to troubleshoot it, right? Now, out of these all services, like the networking means connectivity is one service, storage is one service. Storage means like your RAM, your hard drive, those things. Servers, virtualization, operating system, application, data, these all are what? Services. Security. So this is not compulsory to purchase these all services from the cloud. According to your requirement, either you can purchase IS. IS means, see, the cloud computing company is going to take care about the networking, about the storage. Networking means how they are connected, right? If you have internet connectivity, you will be able to access the resources. If there is some issue, the cloud company is responsible to troubleshoot it. If there is some issue with the storage, let's say the hard drive is not working fine, right? Or RAM is not working fine. So this is not your concern. This is concern of cloud computing company. They are going to troubleshoot it, right? So you can purchase the networking service, storage service, and server service and virtualization service. Means you don't need to take care about the ESXi, about the subscription, about the configuration, about the installation. The company, cloud computing company, is going to install ESXi on their server. They will configure the networking, they will manage the servers, they will manage the storage, right? And you will have access of ESXi, where you can install the operating system, and then you can install the application. You can configure the firewall. So if you are purchasing these services, networking, storage, servers, and virtualization, that is called infrastructure as a service. Means we are only purchasing infrastructure. Rest all things like the application, data, or the operating system, I am going to install it. I am going to manage it. So who will pay for the application? Application subscription, you will pay. Who will pay for the operating system? You will pay. Who will pay for the security, for the let's say firewall? You will pay. The another offer that cloud computing company is offering is PS, platform as a service. In the platform as a service, they are not only providing networking, storage, server, virtualization, operating system, only virtualization. They are also providing operating system, malware, and runtime, right? Till here, all the services will be provided by the cloud computing company, and you need to take care about the data and application, right? So you have already the operating system. Let's say your application will run on the Windows operating system. So you can purchase Windows operating system from the cloud computing. Then how to install the application, how to manage the application, that is your concern, right? So you can purchase platform as a service. And guys, the third one, let's say if you want all services from the cloud computing, you only want to use the service, then you can use purchase this service, software as a service, where everything will be managed by the cloud company. Everything will be managed by the cloud company, right? That is called software as a service. Just tell the name of software, which software you want to use. They will provide you the access. And with the help of IP address, you can access that application, right? And not only guys these, right? There are many more services. Many more services are there provided by the cloud computing company, right? Have you heard about the Zscaler? Zscaler, guys. Zscaler is a very popular company in the cloud. He is like Cisco is the global leader in the networking. Zscaler is the global leader in cloud security. Get corrupted. So it will be very complicated again to install the ESXi, to configure everything, to set up the application there. So I'm using inverter, right? So 24/7 electricity is required, right? The cooling is required, room is required, and then engineers are required who will manage it. So to overcome these all issues, this bank can simply use cloud, right? They only need to pay to AWS, and AWS is going to take care of everything. Now they don't need to pay for the electricity, they don't need to pay for the ACs, for the engineers, for the power. So this is the benefit of using cloud, and this is why most of the companies are moving on the cloud, why they are using cloud. Okay, any question? Let's suppose, as I told you, the example of Hotstar or the Netflix. Let's say Netflix is going to release one movie today, right? So definitely user will be high, demand will be high, traffic will be high for next few days. Let's say for 1 week, their requirement is huge for 1 week only, right? For 1 week, they need lots of resources, high resources, right? So if they will purchase the server, their own hardware devices, so those hardware will be guys unused after 1 week, right? But if they will use the cloud, so what they can do after 1 week, they can pause the service, they can delete the service. So you only need to pay what you have used. Whatever services you will use, for that only you need to pay. So that's why we are saying cloud is a pay as a go, pay as a use, you can say, right? So if I need Linux operating system for 1 week, it is much better to use cloud. If I need to run SD-WAN lab, let's say, or SD Access lab or ACI lab for 1 month, right? So instead of investing lakhs of rupees, 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs on the physical device, minimum 8 lakh rupees is required, right, to run ACI on the server. And guys, I need only for 1 week, right? So after 1 week, I'm not going to even use the hardware, right? So it will be better to use cloud here. Getting my point? Of your syllabus, right? So that's my let me write here. It is a software that allow one physical machine or server to run multiple virtual machine. Virtual machines, right? And guys, if you need to let's say deploy one virtual router, we can rent the virtual hardware, virtualized hardware, you can say. We can rent a virtualized hardware. Virtualized hardware, these are the terms, technical terms. Virtualized hardware means hardware of other vendor. Virtualized hardware means the same hardware, still hardware, but of different company, right? Not my company hardware. So we can rent virtualized hardware from the cloud providers like the AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, right? And many other cloud providers are there in the market, right? And you know, there are two types of hypervisor, by the way. First one is type 1 hypervisor. Type 1 hypervisor. So as I told you, ESXi installed directly on the physical hardware. Like I have installed ESXi on my hardware directly. So that is type 1 hypervisor. Example can be VMware ESXi. XI, like this, right? And second one is type 2 hypervisor. So what is type 2 hypervisor? That can be installed on operating system. Like we can install it on Windows operating system, on the Linux operating system. That is type 2 hypervisor, installed on an operating system like Windows or Linux. And example can be VirtualBox. Have you heard about the VirtualBox, the Oracle product? VirtualBox, no? BOX. Then example can be VMware Workstation. You might have heard about VMware Workstation. VMware players. So see, on my Windows operating system, I have one VMware, this one, right? Workstation. Are you able to see it? So here I have installed this application, guys, on my Windows operating system, right? So which type of hypervisor it is? It is type 2 hypervisor. It is type 2 hypervisor. See, if I will open this hypervisor, again here I can create multiple machines. See, I have option to create a new virtual machine. So click on create new virtual machine. Now select the virtual machine wizard and click next. Now install where you want to install it, then just select your operating system, iOS, ISO, right? And I can say I will install it later and then select next. Now it is asking for which operating system you want to install, Microsoft Windows or the Linux or the VMware ESXi or the others, right? Like this I can install here also virtual machine, but this is type 2 hardware. In the enterprises we are using what? Type 1 hypervisor. In the enterprises we are using, guys, type 1 hypervisor. Right? And virtualization is one core part of modern networking. Again and again I am telling you, modern networking, guys. Modern networking means SDN, software defined networking, like your SD-WAN, right? So virtualization is one core part of SD-WAN, SDN network, modern networking like SD-WAN. So actually SD-WAN allow you to create virtual network. Virtual network over multiple WAN connection, like your internet connection, your MPLS. Getting my point? Just 1 minute. SDN, software defined networking, means the virtual network. These are the virtual network only, right? And SD-WAN is most popular SDN network. Most of the organizations are moving their infrastructure to SDN. Guys, in the last video, we have talked about the DMVPN. In DMVPN, we were connecting multiple sites together, right? Like if I have 3 sites, hub router, spoke 1, spoke 2, how they are connected? Through internet. Through internet, these all sites are connected together. What will happen if internet will goes down, guys? Entire connectivity will goes down, right? So I need multiple internet connectivity or multiple WAN circuit here for the redundancy, for the backup. Like this. Now, what will happen if this router will goes down? Yes or no? So actually, these are the virtual routers. In SD-WAN, we are going to use, sorry, these are the physical routers. In SD-WAN, in SDN, we are going to use virtual routers here. We will be using virtual routers. You might have heard about VH. How many of you have heard about VH? Done? So this is what? This can be hardware also, this can be virtual as well. Most of the time we are using virtual. Right? These are the part of, guys, modern networking. Like in SD-WAN, we have VAs, we have VA Smart, we have VBond. These are the controllers of SD-WAN. Height of SD-WAN, height of modern networking, you can say. These all are virtual devices. So to learn these technologies, you have to first understand what virtualization only, right? Like the hypervisor, ESXi, network function virtualization. In NFV, guys, actually the physical network devices like routers, firewall, switches, load balancer are replaced by the virtual devices, by the NFV, network function virtualizations. Yes. Right? So instead of having separate hardware, separate firewall, separate load balancer, one device can be used for all the functions. We can have only one device, right? For the routing also, for the switching also, for the firewall also, for the load balancer also. But if you are using the physical device, right, we have to use multiple hardware. Router have different function, switch have different function, firewall have different function, load balancer have different function. But in the virtualization, we can use these all devices on a single hardware. Right? So we don't need separate firewall, separate load balancer, separate routers. We can use virtual firewall. And where we can deploy these all on the server. These are what was? These are boss controllers. Who is going to configure, manage? These are edge routers. Like this is the branch 1 and this is my router 1. Router 1. So these routers like branch 1, branch 2, branch 3, in the last class we had seen the DMVPN, right? So let's suppose we have 1000 number of branches. So it is complicated to configure and manage 1000 branches individually, separately. Let's suppose I need to apply one policy on 1000 devices, right? It can be time consuming. Lots of engineers are required. We are going to distribute the task. then also it can take a week. In the SD-WAN, we can manage these 1,000 devices from these controllers. We can configure policies on all 1,000 devices in 1 second with the help of controller. I will simply create the template over here on the controller, and then I can push that template to all the devices, to 1,000 devices simultaneously. And these all controllers are virtual, right? So where I will deploy these controllers, either I can deploy these controllers on my own server, right, on premises, or I can deploy it on cloud. Even I don't have headache of my server, right? I will deploy these all on AWS. AWS is going to take care about everything, right? And I will have access of this controller through the public IP address, through the internet. So I can manage my all the sites from a single point, even from my home. From my home, I can manage 1,000 branch offices. Actually, this is SD-WAN, right? Through SD-WAN, we are only managing WAN devices, WAN edge devices. So we cannot manage this switch, right? Here we can have lots of other devices as well, right? Like multiple switches will be there, multiple WAN edge devices will be there. So we cannot manage these devices, LAN devices, access layer switches and distribution layer switches. For that, again, we have different controllers, DNA, digital network architecture, right? So guys, the deployment of these controllers, as these are virtual, I can either deploy it on my own server, on premises, or I can deploy it on the AWS. So everything is, see how easy, right? How easy to manage 1,000 devices or 5,000 devices or 10,000 branch offices. First of all, I have a centralized management. This is the biggest benefit, right? If there is some issue in branch 1, then I have to access branch 1 router. But in the SDN network, see, as everything, all the sites are connected with the vManage with this controller, means I can troubleshoot site 1 from the central point, from this centralized location, right? So most of the companies are deploying their controllers in their data center on their own server, and some of the companies are deploying on the cloud, right? You can do both. Either you can deploy it on server. So whatever, see, virtual appliances there, like your router, switches, firewall, load balancer, controllers, you can install these all things on server. So on a single server, I can install controller also, I can install router also. Let's say this is my data center, on data center, right, where I have lots of servers, and where I have deployed these servers, these controllers on one server, right? Let's say on this server, I have deployed all the controllers. Now guys, here I have lots of employees. So I need routing for those all employees as well, right?